Hi, I am trying once again to do a Facebook Live, and it's not going to be very live because my cell service just keeps cutting out. So after about 2 or 3 tries, I'm just going to create a video and then upload it to YouTube and then get it to you that way. So this is a Transformational Tuesday, and I am delighted to be here. I hope that you find some value out of the Tuesday talks that I've been doing over the last 3 or 4 months now, mostly about career confidence. And now I'm switching more to talk about the emotional side of confidence, and so emotional intelligence, that kind of thing. And that brings us to today's topic. Over the weekend, I made a 4-year-old cry. Now, I'm not very proud of that, but I am kind of proud of the way that I handled it. So let me tell you what happened. I was visiting my sister and her grandchildren, and she has many, many beautiful grandchildren. And this particular little girl is 4 and a half right now. I'm not going to mention names just because for privacy reasons, that sort of thing. But this little girl is 4 and a half, and she has a younger sister who is 3. And she had been a little bit shy of me, and she was just beginning to warm up with me a little bit. And she had decided that, yeah, maybe it was okay if I sat beside her at our supper. So I got her a glass of water, and then I realized her little sister didn't have a glass of water. And I got her little sister a glass of water. And then I remembered I was supposed to write their names on the glass so we didn't get all the cups mixed up and that we didn't use too many of them. So I wrote down a name on the glass, and somebody pointed out to me that that was the wrong little girl's name. That was the little sister's name that I'd put on the 4-year-old's name, on the 4-year-old's glass. So I thought, oh, well, I'll just switch glasses. So I just quickly switched glasses, but this was not acceptable for some reason or other, unknown to me. To me, it was really important to make sure that I got the right kid's name on the right glasses, and they were drinking out of the glasses that they were supposed to, that had their name on it. But this little girl became more and more upset, and pretty soon she was just wailing, just crying her little eyes out. And of course I felt really bad, and her grandparents and her parents were kind of a little bit mortified because she was crying so hard. So I decided it was time to put my counseling skills to good use, and so I sat down beside her and I looked her in the eye and I asked what was the matter, and she sobbed out something which was pretty hard to hear because, remember, she had a little tiny voice to begin with, and I could hardly hear her most of the time anyway, at the very best of times. But it became apparent after sitting with her for a few minutes that she was upset because I had taken her glass and given it to her little sister. So, easily fixed, right? From an adult's perspective. From an adult's perspective, it doesn't mean anything to switch a glass. But apparently to her it did. Now maybe she'd seen a lot of other things that belonged to her that got taken over by little sister. Maybe she was worried about germs or whatever. This was her glass. She wanted it back. So I switched it back, and then I said, is it okay if I scratch out your sister's name and put down your name on it? And she said, that's okay. You don't want a new glass? She wanted that glass. Didn't matter to her that now the glass was all scribbled up and covered with all sorts of markings. It was her glass. So what happened there? So from an adult perspective, getting the names, my name, for me, getting the right name was way important because it was about me remembering who I was talking to and getting the right name attached to the right child. So to me, that was really important. To her, it was something about property, something about not being heard. But because I sat down and I looked her in the eye and I talked to her, she cheered up right away. And apparently I did the right thing, because it wasn't too long after that she took me by the hand and took me off and showed me what for both of us was a big reward, a visit to their little baby kittens. So what can we take about that from about confidence? And how does it relate to confidence? A lot of confidence is about social representation, like who we are and how we're presenting ourselves and what kind of influence we have on others and how they are going to influence us. So it's developing awareness, first of all, of what is going on for yourself. So when I made her cry, I could have gotten really upset myself and felt really bad, and that would have just made a lot of the other adults in the room try to minimize this, what to us adults was a very small thing. But because I could see that this was really important to this little girl, I treated it with the respect and the consideration that, from her perspective, it deserved. So I tried really hard to understand where she was coming from, what was important to her, what she needed. So so I guess there's a couple of lessons in there for us when we're thinking about our own confidence. One is connect with yourself and make sure that you are managing your own emotions so that they don't get in the way. So that can mean managing your anxiety levels, or as I like to call it, your energy levels. It can be recognizing your own kinds of emotions that are bubbling up in the moment and acknowledging them, and then maybe putting them aside for the moment, so to examine them at your leisure and a reflective time when you have more time to figure out what was going on for yourself. And in the moment, being able to put that aside, your own emotions aside, so that you can sit down and look somebody in the eye and really truly connect with what is important to them. In coaching, we like to call that understanding the client's map of the world. So for me, this was a wonderful opportunity to put my emotional intelligence skills to the test, to sit and manage my own emotions and not be embarrassed because I got the names of the kids mixed up. Poor naughty old auntie or great auntie, and put all those kind of self-critical thoughts aside and just pay attention to the child and her needs, connecting, listening, trying your best to understand somebody's perspective of the world, and then making adjustments if you possibly can. And I know that this is dealing with what appears to be a pretty minor thing, at least from an adult perspective, but to that child it was her entire world. And I like to think that by acknowledging her needs, that we reached a deeper connection. So we seemed to, anyway. We both enjoyed looking at those kitties. So I guess that's the invitation for you today, is when you are in a situation where somebody else is upset and it doesn't seem to be reasonable from your point of view, and it's probably going to be a little bit more complex than somebody gave your glass to somebody else, but the same principles apply. Take the time to address your own emotions, and then take the time to connect and figure out what it is in their map of the world. You can't always solve it. You don't always have to solve it. What is most important is being heard and understood. Even if I couldn't give her brand new glass back, I was able to give her something that met her needs. So anyway, I hope you found that interesting, and if not, I hope that at least you enjoyed the view. If we like to enjoy our summers here. So my invitation to you, if you find this interesting, is to like it or share it as you find appropriate. And I see the wind is really having, my favorite hairdresser, the wind, is having its fun with my hair. I guess that means it must be time to hop off. But before I go, I was just going to let you know, I have been working on a big long webinar, and it kind of got away on me and it became a little bit too big and too long. And so I've decided to cut my webinar that was called become more confident. The 3 massive mistakes professional women make that undermines their confidence and keeps them underappreciated and overlooked at work, into 2 parts. And so the first part will be the results of the career confidence survey, and that will be a little bit of a shorter video, and that should be coming out this week. I hope to have all the technology nuts and bolts figured out and ready to let you sign up to see it if you want to do that. And in the meantime, have a great week, and we'll talk to you again next Tuesday. Bye for now.